Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I have Vanessa with me again today, and we want to talk about videos and why, is this a good time to do videos? Why should we do them? What does it take? And what kind of storylines we should cover. So before we get started, let me do a quick introduction. Vanessa is a dear friend and has been in my space and shared a lot of her knowledge and tips and techniques with me, and I'm thrilled to be able to share her knowledge with you. In addition to all of that, she is part of Arc and Crown Media, which was started when two women, both coming from different sides of the video production industry, came together to develop high quality digital media content at a no frills value, but a lot of value. So on that note, Vanessa, what do you think? Is this a good time for video? I mean, there's a lot of content out there right now. So, and you, I know, have been keeping your finger on the pulse. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think when the coronavirus pandemic hit, of course, every company under the sun was putting out an email and, letting you know they were staying on top of things. And so I think there was a little bit of backlash from sort of the overwhelm that we were receiving in our inboxes. And I think since then, we have all been hungry for content because we're all looking for ways to improve our businesses, to improve our lives. And, everyone says we're in the same boat, but we are all in different boats. Some of us have lost our jobs. Some of us have who run their own businesses. They may have lost, some revenue streams. Others are maybe just working from home. But I think as business professionals, we need to remember that we always need to be connecting and engaging with our target audience. And well, the first, as I mentioned, kind of string of content that was being pushed out was just we're here for you. I think what a lot of people felt like was, what are you actually doing for me? So sending it out, an email saying we're here for you is one thing, but actually finding valuable ways to contribute to your target audience, whoever they may be, is another thing. So I will just say for myself, I looked at the situation and I felt like, it wasn't the right time to start, telling people you should be doing videos right at the beginning, because of course, at the beginning, everyone was just trying to figure out their financial situation and
For
figure out,
sure.
how to jump on these Zoom calls. So I thought, well, what could I do? So as a video producer, I knew that I had some knowledge and insights about how to look best on camera and how to present yourself over these video conferences. So I decided to start creating short, 2 to 3 minute videos that I posted on my social media platforms. And the feedback I received was really positive from that. So I would recommend if you're in whatever space you're in, whether you're a mortgage advisor or financial advisor, or you sell a product, really think about your target audience and what they may be struggling with, or how you can assist them during this time. So
I think that's really, sorry, Vanessa, that's really important, because I talk to a lot of women, and one of the things that I'm hearing consistently is that they're paralyzed. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to reach out to their people, with families, with, the kids being at home. There's a lot of at-home family time as well. So there's some nervousness about picking up the phone to make contact. But the truth of the matter is, we're still working and there's still activity out there. And so the question is this a good way to reach out to them? And how would they do that? I mean, for you, it's a natural, for sure. But for somebody who's, say, in the import-export business, or somebody who's, like you said, in the brokerage, in the insurance industry, et cetera, like, what do they do? I have a jewelry business. Now what? Right?
Yeah, and I think you, again, just need to realize that you are an expert in your field, whatever that may be, and you have pieces of information and advice that other people may need and don't have easily at their disposal. So that's the advantage of the information that you have. So finding a way to communicate that, and personally, I believe communicating through video is a much more engaging, personal, human medium than doing so just over, over copy, over text.
Yes.
So putting yourself on camera and showcasing your expertise is a lot of value, because the people who you engage with, your target audience, when you put yourself out there, usually you'll get back a lot more love than you might have even been expecting. So I think putting yourself out there really can, make milestones that you might not have even realized.
I like what you said about, getting a lot of love back, because, I was really nervous when I first went on. I'm still nervous. You don't want to know the time I spent primping before I do these things. But the truth of the matter is, people want to see the humanity. Like, that's a feedback I've gotten from my people. They want to know that I'm authentic. And so even the little messes, like, even though it feels enormous at this end, like, no one's looking for perfection. I know I am, but I'm not perfect. And so why not let that show, right? So
Yeah, and I think it also depends on the style that you're going for. Like, this is a really interesting and popular style of webinar format where it is more informal. It's more of a discussion, a conversation between two people. And I think there's a lot of value in that because we're both coming from, different industries, and we bring
sure.
different perspectives that we're able to share and help others with. But then, for example, the videos that I produce for my social media, they're 2 to 3 minutes. They're more tight. I kind of in advance really kind of script out what I want to say, and so they're a little bit more polished. That's just a different style and a different objective to a degree. I'm trying to hit the people that only have a short amount of time and want to walk away with just a little nugget, versus here we can talk in more depth and we can give people, some greater insight into, why we preach what we preach and do what we do. So I think there's value in both formats, and you just kind of have to figure out what's best for you and your audience.
So do you recommend, when people are looking at doing this as a communication channel to their niche and to their customers, that they do keep it tight, keep it at maybe 2 to 3 minutes? Like, what is the optimum time for something like this?
So funny enough, I just posted a video about video length, and my answer to that is always, what is the least amount of time it'll take you to say something? So if really what you're trying to get across is, hey, I have an upcoming webinar, check it out. Maybe you need to make a 15-second video that you post as a way to promote something that you're doing or that you want to get more attention on. My videos that are 2 to 3 minutes is because I always try and have the viewer walk away with a few pieces of information. So I usually try and, say these are my top 3 tips, or, I think about one key message that I want to get across, and try and keep it in that target length. But again, long format video is also extremely popular. And, when I did the research, it showed that the most popular videos on YouTube are 10 minutes or more. And I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of TED Talks that are 15, 20, 30 minutes. And you get they're story based. They're by very well-polished speakers, of course, but it's an extremely engaging content. So of course you will continue watching that. And it doesn't, at the end of the day, totally matter about the length. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. And I will say, if you're doing something that's overtly promotional in nature, that's where you're likely going to want to keep it under the 60-second mark.
Got it.
Just because, again, I always say, put yourself in the other person's shoes. If that was a company you know nothing about, how long would you watch for? And typically people will only give so many seconds of their day. Again, it's different if you're putting a video on your website, for example. Like, if you're putting it on social, you're expecting them to stop in there when they're scrolling through their feed. And so you want something really tight and concise. Versus if the person's going to your website, then you know that you have a more captive audience. They're seeking out more information about you. That's maybe where you could do something closer to the 1.5 to 2 minute mark to talk about, what you're up to. As they get deeper into your website, that's where you can even go longer, because if somebody is wanting to know step-by-step process of how to use your product or service, maybe you could do a 5-minute how-to video. So length is very much dependent on where your audience is, how captive of an audience they are, and what you're talking about.
But I really liked what you said when you first started, which is the shortest amount of time it'll take you to communicate something. So you're right, even if it's an instruction and how to, if it takes 5 minutes, but make sure that it's on point 5 minutes, right? So I think that's really valid. Thank you. And gosh, I was going to ask you about topics, but you covered it in the last, by answering the time question. So any other? Yeah,
On that
go
front, the
ahead.
one thing that I wanted to share that I thought was kind of interesting, I actually I did a webinar for a communications organization, IABC, that I'm a part of. And what I walked them through and showed them a lot of examples of is the communication that is being put out right now by some of the biggest players in the industry. So, you know, the large corporations, and the ones that did it best in the first quarter, which we're kind of, or the first third, I guess, that we're kind of, I think, getting away from now. It was the communication messages that were really authentic, that were really honest, that just kind of laid it out. This is what's happening with our organization right now. This is what we're doing to support you, or this is, you know, how we're helping our employees, or, you know, just the ones that really kind of laid it out and were honest were the best messages. And the ones like I talked about, offering value, like trying to provide, really the message was sort of be of service, find ways to be of service. And I still think that's valid right now. But the second phase in this whole pandemic is the rebound phase, which we're starting to see now with the stores opening up. And a big piece of that is creating content that ease and entertain. So thinking about what you can do to either ease people's worries and help them understand that you're, you know, the actions that you're taking are going to positively affect them in some way, as well as entertain. So a great example of that is Chipotle started doing Zoom meetings where they would allow on 3,000 random people, and they'd also bring on celebrities. And, you know, we aren't all the Chipotles of the world, of course, and we might not have the clout to bring in celebrities, but I've seen it also done on a really small scale. I know a chiropractor who does these little, you know, fun games and puts out offers on their social media and find ways to just kind of connect with the community. And I think a little bit help them break free from the COVID discussion that is creating our life right now and is, you know, we're getting a little bit sick of, I think.
Yeah.
And then the last, you know, third phase, which I don't think we're quite in yet, but people are starting to think about, is the reinvent. Like, where is this next, you know, phase? We all talk about the new normal that's here or that's coming. I don't think we've fully seen it yet and what really that's going to look like. But a lot of discussion has been talked about, you know, the new purpose in our lives. And, you know, I think a lot of people are reconnecting with their families, and, you know, we're seeing birthdays being celebrated over Zoom instead of in person. So, you know, again, it might not be a direct correlation to your business. You might be like, well, how does this relate to what I do? But you have to remember, at the end of the day, we're all just humans, and people behind the businesses or behind, you know, the payments on your e-commerce store, they're all just people. So really think about how you're going to offer that vision and that new purpose. Maybe it's, you know, helping support small businesses in your community. Maybe it's talking about the new fact that our ecological footprint is becoming more of a topic of discussion and something that we want to reduce. So that's something that you can think about and can incorporate into your content that you create.
That's really great. And I'm very curious and interested in seeing how the third phase evolves, because it really is also educational, right? If I see what my colleagues are doing, that gives me an idea for how I want to do it myself, especially if I'm not sure. So I can learn, leverage, you know, participate perhaps, as you've been doing with different organizations. So quick tips. I know you did a lot of that in the last video. We talked about, you know, the positioning, lighting, etc. Video is a little different because it has to be still. We are talking for a length of time. So any suggestions, practices, edits, positioning is always important, but I'll leave it up to you. What do you think?
For sure. So you definitely want to look around your house and see what the best position is. I mean, for me, when I'm on virtual calls or webinars like this, I am always using my laptop. So I do have to be positioned at a desk. So I have some limitation with the stuff in the background. But when I'm filming video, I do film it on my cell phone. And so I'm able to pick a location in my house that's a little bit more neutral and is less backlit than I am now. But I do use a ring light. If I didn't have this ring light, I would just find myself in front of the window. So the window would be my light source. I do also use a lav mic, which you can purchase off of Amazon for like $25. You can get really cost-effective ones. So I would highly suggest, if you're going to invest in one piece of equipment, it is a lav mic. And I have an extension because I have an iPhone, but so it plugs into my iPhone. And then I'm able to record videos through my phone. And then, yeah, there's definitely a lot of different editing platforms out there. I personally am recommending Premiere Rush because that's a prosumer platform that's really quite diverse. You can do quite a few things with it, but it's still quite simple and easy to use. And yeah, to your point, is just get started. Like, it is
That's
sort
right.
of overwhelming at first and it can feel a little bit daunting, but you just have to, start. You'll get more comfortable the more you do it. Even myself, I'll be honest, I am an acting major. I did that for 4 years in high school. I went to an arts-based high school. However, every single time I went to step on the stage, I would get crazy butterflies. And to this day, when I'm going to do a presentation or go on a live video, it's still very nerve-wracking to me. And I just feel like that probably is never going to go away completely. That's just sort of something I've built. But you do have to remember at the end of the day that people do understand that, and they do appreciate you putting yourself out there. And I think we all see a lot more of the issues or little things that we do, and other people, they see past a lot of that, and they're really, if you do the right things, there really will be just focused on your message and less so the other little aspects of things that you might trip up on.
Yeah, I think the other thing to mention, I do a lot of face-to-face and in front of the room presentations, and it took work for me to get comfortable with that. And I noticed the first time I did a presentation on the web, not a dialogue like this, but definitely a presentation to more than 3 people. I had to relearn all of, like, be present to the body sensation, the sweats, the anxiety, right? Making sure that my information was there in my head, on the side, etc. So it is relearning, but it is practice, and you can get used to it. And exactly like you said, get started. It's about getting out there and not having it be perfect. It's just getting it done.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Thank you, Vanessa. This was lovely and some great tips. There you go. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.